Hello, my name is Allison Stockman. I'm the Senior Avita Director at Laurelwood at the Pine Hills. Today, I welcome you to do the in-service called Memory Care, Nutrition, and Dining. So food is so much more than just the nutritional intake. Think about our own lives when we have food and celebrations and celebrate the holidays, how it brings us into our identity and our ethnicity. How we can care for people by bringing them chicken soup, so we're nurturing. So these are all things that our residents have had in their lives too. So we need to help them connect with their identity and their own celebrations they've had in the past. When working with people with a memory impairment, they may also be really physically active and unable to sit, or their medications make their food not taste so great. So they don't get that nutritional value that they need or that intake. So these are some things that we are working with our individuals with when it comes to nutrition, memory care. So as we age, our metabolism really slows down. We don't need as many calories, but we need to make sure that we're eating the right foods to get the nutritional value. So we are so fortunate with our Northbridge company because we have Eat Fresh, Eat Local. And we are able to make our plates look really appetizing in getting the nutritional value. So we want to have plates that are bright and vibrant colored, like, red peppers and yellow peppers, or, carrots. We want to have lean proteins, and we want to have all whole grains, like whole grain pastas or rice, brown rice, and we want low fat dairy. But we want to make sure we have enough of these nutrients and getting enough vitamin D. So eat fresh, eat local. 80% of the food made in our kitchens is from scratch. That's what we strive for because we want our residents to enjoy it. So when we eat local, it doesn't mean it has to be from vendors. It can be our fruits and vegetables and things that we grow, the herbs in our gardens for that engagement have. And when we get in these fruits and vegetables from vendors, we want to make sure they're high quality and that we can all enjoy them. So some of the challenges that we face with people with cognitive impairment is they forget to eat or drink, or they overeat, they lose their appetite, short attention span, hydration and fluid intake can be very difficult, decline of their fine motor skills and ability to use their silverware, unable to initiate the task, or because of their emotional state or their behaviors. So we're talking about hydration. All of us have been through the brass ring orientation. And at one point, Kelly talks about how the individual is really thirsty and takes those gross motor skills, walks over, sees the glass of water, and then just walks by because in their brain, it's the crevasse. And it loses their momentum. They don't know how to do it. But that person is still thirsty. So whenever we have a person just hanging around the hydration station or is in that area, we need to just give them a glass of water. We want to present water throughout the day. Here you go, because you know how it is saying, do you wanna? They're gonna say no, or don't know, or won't respond. We want to seek other opportunities to hydrate after exercise classes. Here you go. Bar fitness, in the mid-afternoon, in the evening. Maybe even during medications, we give them a second glass of water. In our dining rooms, we should have a glass of water on the table. So as soon as they sit down, they take a drink. Or we can say, cheers, have a drink, or toast to this. That's fabulous. So breakfast, we have a lot of sugary drinks. We have orange juices, cranberry juice, apple juice. But when it gets to lunchtime, we need to move forward and have less sugary drinks. So the diet ginger ale, diet cola, any of those would be fabulous. But the best is, once again, water. Giving the beverages some fun is phenomenal. Right now, we've all seen all of these new things about crafted cocktails. Now they're on the menus at restaurants. We here Why not can we have them? Can't we have them? Shirley Temples, fruit infused water, lime murkies, mocktails. These are all fun things that our residents would like to drink, or ourselves also. So these are some things that we can help with our residents to hydrate. So we have all experienced behaviors during meal times. So I thought we could work through some of these behaviors that we see and see what the triggers are or interventions. So feel free to pause the video and see if you have some interventions you'd like to discuss. So wanders around, does not sit down. Of course, short attention span. Maybe they need to go to the bathroom. Anxiety, delusion, or pain. Feel free to pause and come up with your own interventions. Some of the ones we have here is bring them to the bathroom before a meal, exercise, finger foods, or a sandwich to go. Possibly a motion chair like a rocker so they can just eat but still be on the moving. So pours water into the food. The trigger could be doesn't know what to do with the food, or maybe they don't recognize what they're looking at. What would be some interventions? We listed, offering the beverage, giving the beverage, then kind of moving it out of reach. Or one item at a time. Give them the meal and then give them the beverage. The next one is mixing the food up but won't eat it. So maybe they're not hungry. Maybe they don't know what to do with the food. Or maybe they're just disinterested. So we always want to present the food and tell them, hey, we've got stuffed shells today. They look delicious. You can use hand over hand and so get their body going and their brain going to eat. You can use the bridging effect where you're actually bringing the food to their mouth and they're opening their mouth. And we always want to use the mirror effect. So oftentimes we see if a resident's sitting with a group of people that are eating well, they'll mirror them and eat well themselves. So behaviors during meal times. Sometimes our resident eats too fast, and that can be because of their type of dementia. Their brain doesn't recognize to slow down, and it could also be they don't recognize when to swallow. Some of our interventions are to have them sit at our cue table where someone can monitor and encourage them to drink a sip of water between two bites. Or you can also use a pickle fork, which is like really small, so they can't get as much food on the fork, and the same with the Sunday spoon. We've also had little dabs of food around the plate, so it takes time to get to each one of those. So these are all things that we've used, plus avoiding bread products because bread products tend to ball up and get stuck in the back of the throat if they're not chewed up as much as they should be. So a resident spits out parts of their food, sometimes like the meat in the soup. Oftentimes, it could be dental problems. It could be texture related, which is usually in the mid to late stage. It could be medication where it just doesn't taste good or has that metallic taste, or they just don't like the food. So we want to remove those chunky items. We can strain the soup. We can mash down some of the different meats or vegetables. We can also put items in a bread. So if they feel comfortable with that bread texture, we can give them another choice. We can also check into the medications to make sure it isn't that metallic taste. See a dentist to make sure their dentures are whatever they're not having sores in their mouth. Poor appetite. Why do we have a poor appetite sometimes? Do you think some of the reasons are the same as our residents? What contributes to a poor appetite? It could be constipation. It could be if they're tired, they just don't have enough energy. Hurt teeth or receding gums, emotional turmoil or worried. And it could be something they're worrying about that is really non-existent. Feel like they already ate. Maybe it's an overwhelming plate. medication, or social graces. Some of the social graces things that come up is that you have a family member or a friend comes in and wants to sit next to them while they have lunch and they're not eating. So the resident doesn't want to eat if their friend's not eating. So a good thing to do is offer them a drink or maybe the appetizer, the soup, while this is happening. So we've talked about ways why they have a poor appetite. So let's talk about ways we can increase their appetite. Finding out their favorite food, looking at their social history, talking with families about their likes, their dislikes. What time did they eat lunch before coming to our community? Did they eat an early lunch or a late lunch? Having meals at the same time, having that routine, especially when it's a frontal temporal lobe dementia, routine, routine, routine. We want to increase the physical activity so they feel hunger, smaller portions. Offer smaller meals throughout the day. We have a lot of residents who like to graze throughout the day and have smaller portions and snacking. Request an occupational therapy to do an evaluation for adaptive equipment. If you start seeing their fine motor skills, they're having difficulty getting the fork to their mouth, maybe we need to try working with occupational therapy or a finger food diet. Overeating. What causes us to overeat? What causes individuals with memory impairment to overeat? Please pause to answer. Well, for myself, in my long-term memory, I remember my mother saying to me, "You must eat everything on your plate before you can go out to play." Here are some triggers and tips for those that you may have come up with about overeating. Maybe it's because the trigger is they had nothing to do. They forgot they have eaten. You see other people eating, so they must have to eat. Mistake of being hungry or thirsty. Looks good, so why not? That's my fact. Don't have the sensation or comfort or feeling of a full stomach, and that often happens with a frontal temporal lobe. So why don't we put out good snacks, nutritious snacks, some berries, nuts, offer them a drink or non-calorie drinks. Leave the plate in front of them, so if people are eating, instead of clearing their plate, leave it in front of them until you're going to give them their dessert. Engage in activities of interest. Foster friendships with other residents. So if they're distracted and engaged in programs they like, they'll not think of eating. Fill the plate with more vegetables and healthy foods, less calorie foods. Eat smaller portions more frequently, like we talked about grazing through the. So here we go, frontal temporal lobe dementias. So as we know, that they like routine, 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 and structure throughout their day, but sometimes they even have nutritional challenges. They may feel full, but their brain and their eating noise tells them that they should eat. Their judgment and social graces have diminished, so they are unable to stop eating. They'll just keep going if something is put in front of them. They crave carbohydrates, which increases the serotonin, and that serotonin is what is associated with mood. So they seek it out to make themselves feel better. So here are some dining tips. Offer foods they recognize. Each resident should have like a go-to list of special things they like to eat or things that they find comfort eating. Avoid conversations between coworkers. It may distract them. We know that they have short attention spans, so that would distract them. Music is wonderful. Music without words is even better to have them eat. Hand over hand to get the brain working, and also using a gentle tap on the shoulder or eye contact. Ooh, take a bite, that looks great, with cueing. Using our scoop plate so the food automatically goes on the fork or utensil so they can easily eat it. If you're feeling that they're starting to have some difficulty eating, maybe they should move over to the cue table where someone's stationed to help them and cue them to eat. If you see any changes with dining, please bubble it up to your wellness team. So maybe we can get an OT, occupational therapy screen, or see if there's something going on with that individual. Here are some more simple tips. Having a simple table setting and having the contrasting tablecloth to the plate. Having your friends sit together and serving them the meal together, having them enjoy it, clear their dishes, and then serving them the dessert together. That's their social graces that they maintain in their long-term memory. Maybe you have individuals at your cue table so you can cue them and also have them stay engaged with you so they're not getting up and walking away during the meal, giving them a choice of two options and also bringing them one item at a time so it's not overwhelming. Our food should be, fun to look at, like bright colors, having a garnish, an edible garnish. It makes wonderful conversation and it makes it appetizing. Encouraging fluids during mealtime. So if you see a resident's glass is getting low, go on over and fill up their ginger ale or whatever they're drinking. Now we're setting the scene for a best dining experience. So can we do beforehand to make sure the services goes well? Here are some tips. Making sure that we have our diet board is current with pictures and the diet and allergies and restrictions. We want to make sure we communicate with the wellness team and the culinary team for any diet changes. We want to make sure those par lists are filled. Do we have the condiments, the peanut butter, the jelly? Do we have a sandwich filler such as chicken salad that we can easily make another sandwich if a resident does not like the option on hand? Are the autoclave machines turned on and fully operational at least 30 minutes before? And are the cloths fragrant and smell really good and nice and warm and ready to go? Every community has their own procedure in place to ensure that these towel warmers are ongoing and the residents are having that wonderful spa-like engagement. So we are setting the stage. So we're prepping our dining room. We're putting on the tablecloths. We're setting the tables. As you can see in this slide, I do know some of your communities do roll the silverware, and that is absolutely fine. For some of our residents, we do need to use just one piece of silverware because they need a simpler way of dining. We want to have that music upbeat, ready to go. We want to make sure our pre-cut meals are all ready to go also. We don't want to cut meals in front of their peers. Sometimes it could be embarrassing to them. Appetizers are ready to serve. Our associates are now wearing a royal blue apron as part of our dignified dining program. It looks sharp, but also it provides a barrier because some of our RCAs are providing personal care during the day. So we have this nice new apron on, and it looks good, and it helps out in that situation. So now we're all ready to go. We're starting to escort the residents to the dining room. We have residents in wheelchairs. Unless a resident has a doctor's order or there's a medical condition where they cannot go to a regular chair, we need to have them transfer from the wheelchair into the dining room chair. And also, a lot of our residents have the walkers. They need to go to the side of the dining room in an area so that people aren't apt to trip on them. Some of our communities have assigned seating, some of our communities don't. I know it varies from neighborhood to neighborhood, but just figure out what is the best for your community. And when someone needs maximum assistance in dining or needs some assistance in dining, we should have a queue table with one staff member assigned to that table. And other staff members can rotate the dining room just to cue people. Oh, take a bite. Oh, here's a drink. Oh, I'm going to refill your drink. Whatever works for your community is the best. Now it's time for the dining experience. We greet the residents, we encourage them to sit with peers. The residents need to be cued to be at the cue table and sit together with an RCA. The rolled spa towels are on a decorative tray, looking beautiful and smells wonderful. We distribute the towels to the resident. We may need to shake them a little bit if they're a little bit too hot. We have them wipe their hands, and then we have them some of them like to wash their face, which is fine. And then we collect them. And then at this time, each resident needs to have a glass of water either on the table or given one, plus an additional drink. We need to encourage hydration, 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 and drinking. So the beverage of choice always should be in twos. Would you like ginger ale or would you like iced tea? Um, it makes it easier for our residents. Then you want to make sure as this is going on, you have one associate checking off the meal attendance sheet to ensure all residents are present, and then if they're not present, going down and checking on them. If it is a medical concern or something's going on with them, you must bubble it up to the wellness team so they could check in and see if everything's okay. So now we're serving our appetizers, our soup, salad, or fruit. And you may want to add some applesauce for those who don't like what's being offered. A designated person from the dietary department will plate the two choices, and that should have some sort of garnish or like fresh herbs, a lemon wedge, or edible flowers, so that it looks appealing and entices them to want to eat. If there is not a dining person to plate it, we also want to have an RSA, or engagement people will do the plating of the meal. To make the show plates, we want to make sure that they're not covered with saran wrap. These two plates are going to be used and then they'll be discarded after for infection control. So one associate will start clearing the appetizer bowls as the next associate starts with those two show plates. At our community, we like to start with the queue table or the people who need more assistance because they do take longer to eat. So as we're going around table to table, now we come to a resident who does not like either option. So we can go to the always available menu, but it's always nice to have that sheet saying their go-to or what they really enjoy so that we have something to offer like that. Once the residents start to finish their main meal, then we'll start clearing the plates. If you do have those residents that may re-eat, if their people at their table are still eating, you can leave their plate there. So we start clearing them table to table, and it's time to start serving our coffee, tea, and hot chocolate. This is always enjoyable for them because we want to facilitate them to sit and talk and have a leisure experience and enjoy it. So we start serving the dessert one table at a time. If a resident is not there that we determined from our meal attendance sheet, we want to make sure we notify the kitchen so that they can have a plate saved. We can saran wrap it, date it, and put it in the refrigerator, or have definitely some sort of sandwich filler available with either chicken salad, tuna fish, work with your culinary director to have something on hand. So now we allow our residents to socialize, enjoy their meal, have their coffee, tea, dessert, and just be and enjoy. So have you ever been hangry? If yes, describe your mood. Please feel free to, pause this tape. So imagine being hungry and not being able to express it or having food. How would you act? How do our residents express that they're hungry without using words? Feel free to pause and talk about experiences and how food has helped them. So now I'd like to talk about how snacks bring happiness. It helps stabilize the mood, maintains their blood sugars, reduces irritability, boosts, feeling good about themselves. Chocolate is always great. It helps reduce stress. Comfort foods like snacks and chips and cookies offer emotional comfort and reduce stress also. It also helps with the brain chemistry. Nuts, yogurt, these wonderful things help with the dopamine and serotonin, which improve mood. And it could be a reward system, which we generally don't do, but and once again, it can make you feel happy. Well, maybe if they win that bingo game, they get a chocolate bar. It also promotes social bonding, like sharing snacks and social connections, and increases happiness. Um, Moderation is key when we're snacking, but it increases our well-being. Snacks. So our culinary director provides us with snacks for the residents 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and evening. These snacks are always available in the morning, like a muffin or a pastry we'd have in our country kitchen. So it's not like a structured snack, but it's something that's always available in the morning. The afternoon snack is made out with the culinary director and the Avita engagement director, and we partner together to make it fresh and healthy. And it's like a substantial weekly snack we come to have, but we also include our special engagements with that. And then the evening snack can be a prepackaged treat that is very important, but happens in the evening after dinner. So this is an example of our afternoon snack schedule. Yogurt, granola, fresh fruit, zucchini, cheese and crackers, fresh baked cookies, ice cream sundaes. So it has a wide variety of snacks for the week, but we do have a mix of those that are really healthy and nutritious and good for us. And we also have the sweets like the ice cream sundae that a lot of people enjoy. So it's really important that we have fresh snacks and it's not the prepackaged snacks. If this isn't happening, please reach out to your ED or your culinary director, Kelly or myself, to make sure this is really happening for our residents. So to me, this is the most important snack of the day, the evening snack. How many of us snack in the evening? I know myself, I absolutely love salty, fatty foods like chips or cookies or things like that, and have always snacked in the evening. Our residents like to snack too. It's something to enjoy. And I'm especially feel the evening and snack is important because if our residents are eating dinner at 4:30, 5 o'clock, it could be a long time to their next meal. So this also includes if they have medical issues, like if they're diabetic or something like that. And also, I know myself, if I'm full or I feel like I'm full, I'm going to sleep better and I won't get up to get something to eat. So that's the same with our residents. So in the evening around 7 o'clock, we offer Cheez-Its, peanut butter crackers, goldfish, Nutri-Grain bars because they're nice and soft for those softer diets. So they are pre-packaged, but that doesn't mean that you have to have that. Sometimes we have leftover desserts from lunch or from dinner. That you can also use. Or sometimes some of our residents like a half a sandwich because maybe they were having a bad evening where they were, they weren't sitting down for the meal, they were wandering around and really didn't have that substantial meal in the evening. So some of the other snack ideas that I love to add in is dark chocolate, blueberries, blackberries, some of these like finger food things, cucumbers wrapped in smoked salmon, smoothies, nuts, avocados. All residents have allergies and restrictions, and we can review this with our Avita team members before we serve the snacks. And also monthly food memo forms need to be filled out if you're having something special, and those could be given to your dietary director. But what I'm telling you is snacking brings happiness. So let's give them those snacks. I hope you have a wonderful dining. Thank you very much and manja. Thank you.